You also played against Wizards MJ. Wizards MJ, Kobe, Bron, D Wade. Out of all of those guys, looking back, who was the toughest person that you had to guard and play against? Because you went through the gauntlet. That's everybody. That's all of them.
I'm gonna have to probably give it to LeBron. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I played in playoff series against him. I didn't play in playoff series against those other dudes. And playing in the playoff series, Lou, Chandler, I mean, you know everything they gonna do. And you gotta try and stop it, bro. And he was special. Hey, he was special every night. I'm like, God, dog. So all of them were tough in their own right, but I played against LeBron in a couple playoff series, and he was special. I played in D Wade in some playoff series. He was special as well. So, those guys who can shoot the ball whenever they want to, they the hardest to guard, bro.
Joe, I hate to do it, but I gotta ask now, especially what you just said. You played against both. You played against both. Obviously, you didn't play against Prime MJ. You played against Wizards MJ. Me and Lou have our opinion. You've played against both. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
I'm MJ all day, bro.
Yeah, and Jordan brand. You can't go against. The logo.
I grew up watching Jumpman, MJ. I'm a huge fan, and I felt like he made the game sexy in some aspect, and I just enjoyed it from the time. I was probably about 7, 8 years old, bro, for real.
This isn't a throwaway comment from a television analyst. It's not the praise of an overzealous fan. These are the words of Joe Johnson, 7-time All-Star, one of the purest scorers of his era, a man who spent 17 seasons in the NBA going toe-to-toe with legends. He faced Wizards, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwyane Wade, and of course, LeBron James. So when Johnson was asked, out of all those guys, who was the toughest to guard? He didn't hesitate. LeBron James. Johnson described the haunting reality of that challenge. In a playoff series, you know exactly what LeBron is going to do. You study the film, you prepare the schemes, you build defensive walls, but when the game tips off, he still breaks through everything. A freight train with the speed of a guard, the strength of a forward, and the vision of a point guard. Every night, every possession, LeBron was special. Guarding him felt less like defending a man and more like bracing yourself against a storm. And yet, the story doesn't end there. Because when Johnson was asked the ultimate question, who is the greatest basketball player of all time? His answer came instantly, firmly, without a second of doubt. I'm MJ all day, man. Chills. Here was a player who had battled LeBron in multiple playoff wars, who had just admitted LeBron was the toughest to guard, and still, without hesitation, declared, Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Then he explained why. MJ made the game sexy. Jordan wasn't just a player. He was the icon who made the world fall in love with basketball. He turned every jump, every fadeaway, every drive into art moments that made fans hold their breath. To Joe Johnson, LeBron may have been the ultimate defensive nightmare, but Jordan was the dream of an entire generation, and that's the difference fans need to understand. Being the toughest to guard doesn't equal being the greatest of all time. Shaquille O'Neal was once unstoppable in the paint, but no one calls Shaq the GOAT. LeBron may have been Joe Johnson's toughest matchup, but Jordan is the man who made the game eternal. LeBron, the ultimate defensive nightmare. Joe Johnson wasn't speaking casually. When a 7-time All-Star, a man who spent nearly 2 decades in the NBA battling against Kobe Bryant, Dwyane Wade, Allen Iverson, and even Wizards-era Michael Jordan, still declares, LeBron is the toughest player I ever had to guard. That's not flattery, it's a battlefield truth. LeBron is truly basketball's biological mismatch, standing 6'9", weighing 250 pounds, yet moving with the speed and agility of a 6'3" guard, combining the brute strength of Karl Malone with the passing vision of Magic Johnson. His transition game turns even the smallest defensive mistake into 2 easy points. As Joe Johnson put it, you know what LeBron is going to do, but you can't stop it. That is the essence of a defensive nightmare. Take Game 6 of the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics led 3-2, one more win, and Miami was finished. But that night, LeBron walked into TD Garden with a cold, unshakable stare and unleashed 45 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Brandon Bass, they all took turns guarding him. None had an answer. It wasn't a lack of effort. It was simply that no solution existed. Or look at the 2018 playoffs against the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors entered as the #1 seed in the East, boasting a top 5 defense. Yet LeBron dismantled them so thoroughly the series became known as LeBronto. In Game 2, he dropped 43 points and 14 assists, hitting fadeaways from impossible angles along the baseline. OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam defended by the book, but the shots still fell. Against LeBron, perfect defense often meant nothing. The problem is simple. There is no right way to guard him. Play him tight. He spins and powers to the rim. Back off. He accelerates like a freight train. Double team. He finds the open shooter with pinpoint passing. Force him into long jumpers. And he punishes you with step-back threes. Guarding LeBron isn't just a physical battle. It's mental erosion. Not just for one quarter or one game, but for the length of an entire playoff series. Every night, the same relentless pressure. Every possession, the same force. That consistency is what breaks defenders. No wonder Joe Johnson admitted, LeBron was special. Every night, I was like, God damn. LeBron is the embodiment of biological unfairness. A player so overpowering that entire defensive systems must be redesigned simply to contain him, not stop him. Just limit the damage. He is living proof that in modern basketball, some individuals render the very idea of stopping meaningless. And yet, the question lingers. If LeBron is the ultimate defensive nightmare, why isn't he the GOAT? Why toughest to guard does not equal greatest of all time? In basketball, being a defensive nightmare doesn't automatically make someone the GOAT. History is filled with players who were nearly impossible to guard, yet were never crowned as the greatest. Take Shaquille O'Neal, for example. At his peak with the Los Angeles Lakers, Shaq was pure destruction. Standing 7'1" and weighing over 325 pounds, he was both massive and explosive. In the paint, no one could guard him one-on-one. He dominated Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, and Dikembe Mutombo, some of the greatest centers of the 92nd and early 2002nd. The result? 4 championships, 3 finals MVPs, and countless games where defenses simply collapsed. But is Shaq remembered as the GOAT? Number? Because greatness is about more than being unstoppable. Or consider Allen Iverson, one of the smallest guards in NBA history, yet a nightmare for any defender. With explosive speed, his iconic crossover, and fearless heart, Iverson could score on anyone, including Michael Jordan. In 2001, he carried an average Philadelphia 76ers roster all the way to the finals and even stunned the Lakers in Game 1 with 48 points. But is Iverson called the GOAT? Number? Because greatness is not just about being hard to guard. It's about completeness, consistency, closing ability, and the legacy left behind. This is exactly what Joe Johnson was implying. LeBron, like Shaq or Iverson, may be the toughest matchup a defender has ever faced. But to be the GOAT, a player needs more than that. Not just difficult to guard, but without weaknesses. Not just dominating physically, but converting opportunities into absolute victory. Not just striking fear into opponents, but inspiring love and obsession from the entire world. And that is where Michael Jordan rises above everyone. He wasn't merely hard to guard. He was the most complete player, a global cultural icon, and the man who redefined greatness itself. Michael Jordan. Completeness beyond the idea of hard to guard. When people describe LeBron James, the phrase toughest to guard often comes up. And it's true. He is a nightmare for defenders. Too big, too fast, too smart, and too skilled. But here is the difference. Being the toughest to guard is not the same as being flawless. Michael Jordan wasn't just hard to guard. He was complete. He was perfect in ways no one else has ever been. The only player to rule both ends in the same year. In 1988, Jordan did something no one else in history has ever done. He led the league in scoring while winning Defensive Player of the Year, 35 points per game on one end, terrorizing offenses on the other. That is not balance, that is simultaneous domination. Think about it. Players like Shaquille O'Neal or LeBron can overwhelm you with scoring and playmaking. Defensive specialists like Gary Payton or Kawhi Leonard can crush you on the perimeter. But Jordan was both at once. He didn't just carry the scoring load, he carried the defensive standard. And it wasn't a one-time fluke. Over his career, he won 10 scoring titles while making 9 all-defensive first teams. Imagine being the best scorer in the world for a decade while also being asked to shut down the opponent's best guard. That's not tough to guard. That's impossible to escape. the closer who never let you breathe. LeBron has played in 10 finals, winning 4. Some of those losses came in Game 7, others in blowouts. Jordan, 6 finals, 6 wins, 6 finals MVPs, and never a Game 7. That is a level of closing power we have never seen before or since. His killer instinct wasn't just about scoring in crunch time. It was about never giving opponents the hope of survival. In the 1991 finals against the Lakers, he put the series away with one of the most iconic layups in history, switching hands mid-air just to humiliate defenders. In 1993, against the Suns, he averaged 41 points per game in the finals, still an untouchable record. In 1998, he stripped Karl Malone, crossed up Brian Russell, and nailed the last shot. The series never went to Game 7. It never needed to. Jordan didn't let destiny hang in the balance. He seized it. The beauty of his game, MJ made the game sexy. Joe Johnson's line is unforgettable. MJ made the game sexy. And that might be the most underrated truth about Jordan. LeBron's dominance is raw and overwhelming, like a storm you can't contain. Jordan's dominance was refined, aesthetic, almost poetic. He turned basketball into an art form. His hang time made it seem like he was levitating while defenders fell back to earth. His fadeaway was not just unstoppable, it was cinematic, the picture of elegance. His dunks were not just powerful, they were cultural events, defining an era when kids worldwide wanted to be like Mike. This is why Jordan transcended basketball. People didn't just respect him, they adored him. They didn't just watch him, they were mesmerized. With Jordan, every possession felt like theater. Every shot felt like destiny. Every moment was seared into memory. LeBron may overpower you. Jordan made you surrender and fall in love with the game while doing it. The flawless legacy, no cracks in the statue. Greatness isn't just about numbers. It's about the story. LeBron's story, as legendary as it is, still carries finals losses. Still has moments where critics point to hesitation, missed free throws, or collapses. Jordan's story feels mythic. He left the Bulls with a championship-clinching shot in Utah, walking off the stage at the absolute peak. He was never dethroned. His finals record is perfect. His career is remembered as one complete, unbroken arc of dominance. That is why when people debate GOATs, LeBron fans cite numbers, longevity, versatility. Jordan fans don't need to. They point to perfection, the aura of a man who didn't just win, but did so without leaving cracks in his legacy. Jordan the blueprint, LeBron the product. Every generation produces greatness, but only once in a lifetime does the game produce an original, someone who writes the rules instead of playing by them. Michael Jordan was that original. LeBron James himself has said it. I wear number 23 because of Michael Jordan. He even suggested the NBA should retire number 23 league-wide in Jordan's honor. Think about that. The player most often compared to Jordan openly admits that his identity, his inspiration, and even his number all come from MJ's shadow. Hall of Famer Ray Allen put it more bluntly, LeBron is a product of MJ. MJ is the GOAT. That statement cuts deep. It's not an insult to LeBron. It's recognition of lineage. LeBron's style of play, his brand building, his understanding that basketball is more than a game, all of it is possible only because Jordan did it first. Before Jordan, the idea of an athlete as a global brand barely existed. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA, yes, but neither built a worldwide empire. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was dominant, but he wasn't a cultural phenomenon. Dr. J inspired, but he didn't redefine the business of sport. Jordan stepped into uncharted territory and carved the path. Air Jordan sneakers didn't just sell shoes, they created sneaker culture. Be like Mike wasn't just a Gatorade slogan. It was the first viral campaign of modern sports. His fashion, the long shorts, the bald head, the gold chains reshaped the look of the NBA. Every superstar since Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant has walked a road that Jordan paved. LeBron has innovated within that framework. He has championed player empowerment, built media companies, and carried the business model further. But innovation is not the same as invention. Edison wasn't remembered for improving the light bulb. He was remembered for inventing it. That's why the Jordan-LeBron debate feels uneven at its core. LeBron is magnificent, but he is derivative. Jordan was the genesis. LeBron is the evolution. Jordan is the blueprint. And history never forgets the one who drew the map. Jordan didn't just play the game. He designed the way greatness would be measured forever. The art of imperfection. Jordan's ability to turn failure into fuel. Greatness is often romanticized as perfection, an unbroken chain of victories, a spotless record. But Michael Jordan's legend is not built on an illusion of never failing. It's built on how he used failure as fire. Before the championships, there was the pain. Jordan was beaten year after year by the Detroit Pistons, the infamous Bad Boys. They shoved him, hacked him, knocked him to the ground. For 3 straight seasons, they slammed the door in his face. Most players would have accepted their ceiling. Jordan did the opposite. He hit the weight room, built muscle, sharpened his mind, and came back hungrier. By 1991, he didn't just beat the Pistons, he swept them, walking over their dynasty as they walked off the court without even shaking hands. Again in 1995, after returning from baseball, Jordan looked mortal. The Orlando Magic sent the Bulls home, and critics whispered, maybe the king had finally fallen. What did Jordan do? During the filming of Space Jam, he built his own private training facility, the Jordan Dome. He invited the best players in the league for summer scrimmages, studied their tendencies, rebuilt his conditioning, and retooled his game. The very next season, the Bulls went 72-10 and reclaimed the throne. That wasn't luck. That was design. Jordan's genius wasn't avoiding imperfection, it was transforming imperfection into evolution. Every loss became a laboratory. Every setback became data. Every failure became fuel. Compare that to LeBron. His career has been long and remarkable, but his failures 2007 against the Spurs, 2011 against the Mavericks, multiple losses to the Warriors remain scars that critics revisit. Jordan's failures, by contrast, have become part of the myth. They are remembered not as stains, but as turning points in the hero's journey. The losses made the victories sweeter, the comebacks more dramatic, the legend more complete. True greatness isn't the absence of defeat, it's the refusal to let defeat be the final word. And no one in basketball history embodied that principle more completely than Michael Jordan.